Alright, how is everybody doing today? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the 5 stocks you guys should be looking into and potentially buying with another crash or dip in the market. Now, I haven't posted a video in quite a while. I've been quite busy, but I did find quite a bit of good stocks, and I have been buying stocks since the dip has been happening. Quite big of a dip, especially even today. It's down 2%. Even after hours, it's down another little bit as well. Basically, QQQ went as high as at least the NASDAQ ETF, right? Went up 5% or went down 5% since its highs, which it even hit 7%. So I'm not surprised if it keeps falling. As you can see, even the S&P 500 has kind of dipped quite a bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if it continues going down over the next few years, even over the next year itself. I'd be very surprised if basically the S&P is higher than it was in the beginning of this year or where it is right now. I don't really see that happening, especially since how much it went up last year. The S&P basically recovered last year a whole 70% since its lows, probably even more if you hit the very, very bottom. So I don't expect it to go up even another 10-20%. If that happens, that's going to be quite it's going to be quite interesting, to say the least, in terms of the stock market being in kind of like a bubbly territory. But all these stocks, even today, are a buy in my opinion. The way I do it is I never go all in into stocks that I'm looking at. I go quite incrementally. I go whenever the stocks, whenever the market dips in general, I'll go incrementally. I'll buy a little bit into a stock, and then if it drops more, I'll buy a little more. You never want to go all in into a stock, all your money that you want to put into that individual stock. You don't want to just go at one time all in, because if it falls even more, then you're stuck holding something that's you could have averaged in, right? Which is kind of what I like to do here. But let's just jump straight into the list. The first one is Facebook stock. Now, this is obviously crazy huge company. Even Yahoo Finance has this undervalued, and usually Yahoo Finance is everything is overvalued, especially stocks like this. So that's interesting there. But the P ratio is only at 25, and I'm going to tell you why exactly I would buy Facebook stock exactly at this price. If it falls to low 250s, even under 250, if it goes under 250, I think that's easy money. If you have more than a 1 to 2 year outlook, at least it's easy money in my opinion, because Facebook, I think, is very undervalued here, especially since the government isn't really doing anything. I don't think that they will be stepping in. The reason why it's trading at this valuation right now is because of the fear that they could separate Facebook and Instagram. They could be their own two entities. But if that even happens, worst case scenario, you're going to have shares in Facebook and you're going to have shares in Instagram. And those two pieces separately, in my opinion, could actually be worth more than basically both of them together. So potentially, worst case scenario, you're still fine, even in the worst case, in terms of the amount of equity and money you have in stocks, in Facebook specifically. So that's that. We basically addressed that. But basically, the 4P the next 12 months is looking at under 23. Now, that is really low. I bought more Facebook stock, I believe, yesterday, and I'm definitely will buy more if it keeps falling. Just average in at, like I said, they got a crazy huge balance sheet. Now, the reason why I think this would do stock will do really good is one of their businesses is obviously they own Oculus. Now, up until this point, Oculus has been a very low-key part of their company. I've actually looked into buying one, but the only reason I haven't bought one up until this point is because there's just no good games on it, man. Like, all the games look so bad for it, because if think about it, if you're a game developer, most likely you're not going to be making Oculus games. It's just too hard to make. You're going to have to make it 3D. Obviously, if you know, virtual reality is basically a 360 point of view, or at least like a 180 degree point of view game. So it's a lot harder to make a nice, good looking game on like a virtual reality Oculus type of headset. But technology has been creeping up, and the games are actually looking really nice. So I wouldn't be surprised if I personally buy an Oculus myself. And if you guys look at the Facebook numbers, Oculus is on its way to being a few billion-dollar company on its own. And I do think over the next few years it's going to be a lot bigger. A lot of people like me are looking at Oculus and not buying it just for the sake of it not having a good variety of games. But one is that they are lowering the price points a lot of Oculus, and also another thing is that a lot of people are obviously like looking into new ways of gaming, right? And Oculus is, or Facebook's Oculus is in the forefront of virtual reality. Like if you think of a virtual reality headset, Oculus is #1 in that space. So as virtual reality gets bigger, no doubt 5 years from now, virtual reality is a lot bigger than it is today. And Oculus will have one of the biggest market shares in that space. So I am pretty excited about that. But if Oculus is not the main company, obviously Oculus is not going to be the main driver of revenue for Facebook. It's going to be the advertisement of Instagram and Facebook ads, but it is going to help with basically the investment like look of Facebook. So when people buy Facebook stock in the future, I feel like they're going to be thinking about Oculus instead of Facebook. But yeah, that is that. And obviously the advertisement of Facebook and Instagram, digital ads are only going to get bigger in 5 years now. From now, they're going to be a lot bigger. So I do think Facebook is just a no-brainer buy, in my opinion. But the next one I have, now when I think about it, a lot of this has to do with gaming and stuff. So the next one is Corsair Gaming. Now, the thing is, if you go back on my channel, if you go back 1 to 2 months ago, I made a video on Corsair talking about how it's a really good purchase if it goes anywhere close to low 30s. If it goes under 30, I would go crazy into it. I think I made this video when it was at like 30. I think it hit $33. I think it was in the beginning of December when I made a video talking about it. And it never went under 30. So I never really bought a whole lot. But once they reported the earnings, I think it was about right here, February 4. Once they reported earnings, they showed that their cash balance went up. So the only thing I was worried about this company that I didn't buy before is because they didn't have that much cash on hand and their debt was kind of high. So I didn't really want them to be in a situation where they couldn't acquire new companies, because if you don't know, Corsair has a ton of insanely good companies in their space. They own Scuff Gaming, they own Elgato, which is huge in the streaming space. I'll talk about streaming in a bit, which is Corsair's like main business driver, right? And I really didn't want them to stop like acquiring these companies, because they are really good. They've acquired some companies that are really good in their space. So I didn't want that to stop. But once they released earnings, I saw that their cash balance went up a lot. So they can go back to doing acquiring companies, stuff like that, and just becoming a giant. I do think 5 years from now, they're one of the biggest in their space. I think they're at least $10 billion in market cap, which would mean the stock would be about like 4x from here or 3x from here, which would be close to $100 a share in 5 years time. I don't think that's crazy at all. I think that's very, very doable, and I think it will happen, guaranteed, if not even before then. So why do I think Corsair is so good? Obviously, if you don't know, they own, the main thing that they sell up until this point was PC parts. So if you wanted to make your own computer at home, you would use a cooler, or you would buy their coolers, you would buy their RAM, you would buy their PC cases. Basically, if you want to build your own computer, they own about 40% of the market share in that space, which is a lot. They're literally the leaders in that space. They don't make motherboards or graphics cards or the chips, which is basically Intel and Nvidia does all that. So those are basically the only things you need other than Corsair products. So if you have Nvidia chips and obviously like AMD or an Intel chip as well with Nvidia's graphics card, that's all you need, and then Corsair will literally do the rest of the work for you in terms of buying their products. Now the main driver, especially this last quarter, was their headsets, their keyboards. I've basically owned almost all of them, and they've worked flawless. If you look at the reviews, they have almost 5-star reviews in all their products, almost all of them. And in the gaming space, usually fans are very critical. Like if you don't know, if something's bad, they will hate it. So Corsair seemed as a very premium company there, and I do think that's a very good sign. Like Logitech, in my opinion, is seen more of like a cheaper budget type of company. It's still good, but it's more kind of budgety. But Corsair is literally seen as the premium version of that. It's a lot smaller than that company. I do think they're gonna do very well. One thing that was very interesting is that, okay, in the last 5 to 10 years, gaming has grew like 10 times over, right? Let's look at the PS4 numbers, console. And because from what I've seen, a lot less people are buying consoles than they did before. So if you look at the numbers, right? The amount of people that bought a PS3 or that bought an Xbox 360 were basically the same as people who bought Xbox Ones and PS4s. Very similar, like maybe a 10% increase. But you got to think, the amount of people playing games back when the PS3 was released, and the amount of people playing video games when the PS4 and Xbox One were released up until this point, because these were the latest consoles up until 2020. That increase is insane. Like, I would say 3 to 4 times more people are playing video games than they did back then. At least, like, a lot more people. So you would think consoles would be selling twice as more, right? But no, that's not the case. This is another thing I found. Xbox 360 only had 84 million units, and then PS4 grew to about 115 million units, which the difference here is about 10 years. You have 11-year difference between the two releases. So in 11 years, 20% increase in games? Yeah, it's a lot more than that, I'll tell you right now. The amount of people playing video games is a lot more than it was 10 years ago. It's not even a joke. So that just shows you a lot more people are going into desktop and like kind of in the computer gaming type of space. They're trying to get more basically hardcore into gaming. The more like committed gamers, you could kind of say, the more people that are committed to gaming rather than the people who just play on their phones and stuff like that, is growing a lot. So no doubt 5 to 10 years from now, gaming is going to be a lot bigger. There's just zero doubt about it. But now let's move to the streaming aspect. Obviously, they, with their Elgato business, is basically, and their computer business puts them basically in the forefront of streaming. Now, if you look at the streaming numbers, people think that, or basically Corsair, I don't think I have the stats pulled up here, but basically analysts have Corsair doing about 10 up to 15% increase in revenue, right? For the next year, they only have them doing 12%. Yeah, it's going to be a lot more than that. I think they're going to do about 15 up until, if they do 25% growth in 2021, I wouldn't be surprised. If you look at the Twitch numbers, look at this, December, and then you would think people in December are on holiday, right? They're on break. They have nothing to do. Half of December is a holiday, basically, for people who are at school and work. Mostly school, right? It's college, stuff like that. But 2020, the numbers grew again. They went to almost 3 million average viewers a day. And March is already 2.6, and we're just 2 days into March. So that's already a growth from December. So Twitch has been peaking every single day, every single month in terms of new people watching. And all those people watching are most likely inspired to not only buy new gaming gear, but also start a new streaming channel. And with that streaming channel, I can guarantee you they're going to buy a Corsair or Corsair-owned brand. I can almost guarantee you that. So it's still growing quite a bit. Like, that's at least a 10 to 20% increase right there just in streaming. And the reason is Corsair could have done a lot better numbers in 2020, but they were physically constrained in products. I watched like their earnings call, the CEO was basically saying, yeah, we couldn't physically make the products fast enough. We couldn't get them shipped here. COVID was restricting a lot of shipping stuff. We couldn't sell as many units as we wanted to. But now 2021, not only the demand is strong, but the supply is strong. If not, the demand is even higher than last year. So there's no way they do less than 10% in revenue growth in 2021. And if you look at their P ratio, it's only at 24, man. That's already undervalued. That's a normal valuation for a normal company that's growing a little bit. But this company grew 70% last year, and that's like that. They grew, well, according to Yahoo, they grew, 92%? I think it was a little less than 92%, but it was still really high in the double digits, really high. So that is that. That's another very big thing. Like, if you look at, another thing is, I don't want to go too in depth. I know I'm going pretty in depth in this video, but another thing to look at is not many major games came out in 2020. Maybe 3 games came out. They were kind of lackluster, but that's because in 2020, a lot of studios couldn't release the games. Like, a lot of games got postponed into 2021. But despite this, a lot of people are streaming video games, like a ton of people. Grand Theft Auto 5 is an old game. This came out last year, but all of these are old games. These 3 are old games, old game. This came out last year, I believe. Old game, old game, old game, old game. All of these are old games. So people are still hyped into old games. Imagine once studios or gaming studios come out in 2021 without any COVID restraints and they're able to make the best games possible. That's going to drive so many more people to buy those games, upgrade their computers. And yeah, man, I just can't be bullish enough about this company. So especially since they have that cash balance now to continue getting into like acquiring companies and continue growing, this is a no-brainer buy in my opinion. So under $40 is good. Even a bit of over $40, I would still maybe buy that. But anything under 35, low 30s, you're stealing money, in my opinion, if you have a long-term outlook into this. And that's that. All right. I'm going to go through the rest pretty quickly. I went pretty slowly. The next one is Tattoo Chef. I've been talking about this stock for quite a while, but basically, this is more of a long-term play. Like, honestly, the stock could probably go down in the next 6 months, few months. I wouldn't be surprised. But long-term, I see this company doing really, really well. I think if they can execute, they do have to execute. Gotta stress that enough. But they do have 51% analysts. Only 2 analysts have actually looked at this company, but they have them growing 51%, which is kind of on par in guidance. So if you don't know, I'm going to quickly, briefly explain you what this company is about. They basically were like a private food label company to 2009. They grew a lot. They went from 2 million, 4, 10, 12, 35. They IPO'd, they became Tattoo Chef. Now they sell their own branded products in the vegan type of space, more like plant-based food type of space. They do have some cheese products as well. So I like how they're not strictly vegan, but they are doing vegetarian. So I do like that a lot. They're not like strictly vegan where they're not, obviously if you're just vegetarian, you're going to apply to a lot more people. Some people eat cheese, but some people don't want to eat meat because some people say it's not healthy, you know? So they are like appealing to a lot more people. They grew basically almost 100%, dude, in 1 year. And they are expected to continue growing. They just released the unofficial earnings, and they said branded products is where the main driver, I think, is going to be in the branded products. Like in Trader Joe's, some of the fruits and vegetables are private, so it's not going to say Tattoo Chef, but they are actually supplied by this company. So they basically, so they grew in 2020. Their branded products grew 448% compared to 2019. The sale of those products, at least. That's insane. So their brand is really strong. In a competitive space like this, having a branded product is very important. And I do think their brand is going to grow a lot more as they get into more stores. They haven't been in any grocery stores yet, only like Target, Walmart, Costco. And I think not even Whole Foods. Yeah, not Whole Foods. So just Costco, Target, Walmart, like Sam's Club, stuff like that. And all of them have been selling really, really well. Like they are flying off the shelves. I went into my Walmart. They were sold out of one. They only sell 2 SKUs in my Walmart. They were completely sold out of 1. And the other one had 3 left. So that's how sold out this company is already. And yeah, that's that. So I think they're going to do really well over the next coming years. They do have the potential. Like if there's any food company out there, this company definitely has the potential to being $5 to $10 billion worth of market cap, which isn't anything insane, but that's about how much you want to value those kind of companies. So that is that. So if it goes anywhere under or low 20s, it's a buy. Like at this price point, I'm buying this stock, and I have been buying it over the last few months. So I do expect this stock to do really well for me long term. And yeah, that is that. They also, not to forget to mention this, with their unofficial earnings, I don't know if it says it right here, 200 million. Yes, it does. Their cash balance is 200 million. Ooh, dude, that you guys don't know. If you guys don't know how much that actually means for a company like this, to have 200 million in cash means they can do distribution so much faster. They can potentially acquire smaller companies as well to help them out, if not just to grow. And they're basically 0% chance of going bankrupt. So I do feel like already, if you're counting that in, they're a $1.5 billion company worth right now. I don't think they have a 4P, because they're technically not profitable yet. They should be profitable within the next few years, but they are profitable. Just Q3 wasn't that profitable. I don't expect Q4 to be profitable, but that's all good. But over the next few years, I definitely do think they will pull out some great numbers. Now, last but not least, good old Amazon. Now, this stock is, if you really like Amazon, which, a lot of people out there do, just pick the stock up anywhere under 3K, even low 3Ks, under 3K. Just pick it up. You're going to be making money if you have a few year horizon. You just think about it like this. In 5 years, is Amazon stock going to be higher? I'll guarantee you that. Like, I'll bet almost everything that it's going to be higher in 5 years' time. They're going to continue to expand. This company has not stayed stagnant at all. I don't have it pulled up here, but if you go to Amazon, they are expected to do, I think, 20% in 2021. Not 94. They're expected to do 22% growth and another 20% growth in 2022. And then you can imagine another probably 15%, 14, 13, 15% growth within the next few years as well. That's insane. So if you have a 5-year outlook just based on this analysts, you're guaranteed, obviously nothing guaranteed, but you're obviously very well set. If you think about this, they're going to double their business in 5 years. I'm not even taking into account the compounding aspect of this, but even without compounding, 4 to 5 years, you're doubling the amount of revenue they're making, which should in theory make their forward PE cut in half, 30. It's already dirt cheap. So I do think, especially not even taking a look at all the cash and everything they have on hand, I mean, it's a no-brainer. I don't want to get too much into it. There's so much to talk about this company, but the way they're expanding so fast and they're not staying stagnant at all. Jeff Bezos will be leaving the company, which may drive the stock a little lower, but that's not going to affect the business, in my opinion. I think I made a video on this. You guys can go back to my channel. Look at Jeff Bezos leaving. I basically said I don't think that's going to affect Amazon at all. And yeah, that is about it. Obviously, they do own Twitch as well. Obviously, Amazon owns Twitch. And like I said, Twitch is growing crazy. Look at Twitch 5 years ago. They had about 500,000 people a day on Twitch. 5 years later, they have 3 million. 2 to 2.5 million people a day. More people are on Twitch a day than most TV channels. So in 5 years from now, there could be 5 million people a day on Twitch, which I don't know the TV numbers right now, but that's more than Fox News. I think that's more than like Fox channel or like an ABC channel, concurrent viewers at least. So that is that. So I do think they're going to grow a lot. And that's just one aspect of their business. Obviously, that's such a tiny part of Amazon, but a lot of other aspects of Amazon are really great as well. But yeah, these are my 5 stocks, in my opinion, that I am looking to buy. Amazon, I haven't bought yet. Every single other stock on this list I have, except Amazon right now. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you on my next video.